Okay, so today we'll be unboxing a really interesting looking pack. I mean, most of them are interesting, otherwise we wouldn't get them. A nice deck called The Good Tarot. Now, these kind of jumped out to me because it's almost fell out my fingers. It's a big, thick box, and it looks like it's kind of like the size of a lot of the oracles I've covered on here. It's by 8 Lifestyles, as you can see on the side there. So once again, as you can see, I'm filming in a different room, so the scales and perspective a little bit off. So yes, like with the last few unboxings, having the fun dyslexia, I'm not going to try and bother reading just because, it might, it might annoy some people if I mispronounce things, so just avoid it. So these do look quite interesting. Got a nice bit of caption on the back. You can pause that and read it at your leisure. And on the back it also has the Hierophant, messages of 2, and 2 of water on the back there as well, if you can see there. Well, at least I hoped you could see, but we'll get into that. So we're going to do a nice little unboxing and see what magic awaits inside. Okay, so do a bit of unboxing, and also just so you can read that. There you go. Just in case some of you are kind of, what does all of that say? Anyway, so we're going to quickly, I say quickly, it's going to be however long this video is going to be. Okay, I should really bring the scissors or something to do these. But, there we go. Unfortunately, as I've mentioned in previous videos, I've not really had that much free time to get stuff done, so that's why there's unfortunately no cloth today. Like I said, make do and mend. Let's put that down there. Okay, so it's one of those vacuum formed ones. Jeez. There we go. Right, first of all, we're going to see if it has that new book smell. It does, in spades. Right. So, let's see, we've got a nice book, and quite a thick book at that, actually. So, I'd probably say these are about 5 inches, roughly, about 5-6 inches. And enter inch joke here. So, anyway, so we've got the Good Tarot, and you've got a nice photo of Colette. I'm not going to try and read her last name, but I've got a nice picture of Colette there. Go on, zoom in. There you go. There you go. Right, so it does look like a nice book. So a quick look through. So one thing I always like to check with the books is just to see how accurate a depiction of the cards are. Now, on the context, it has the major trumps. Enter politics joke here, and instead of wands. And instead of like wands, pentacles, etc., it's got air, fire, water, and earth, which is what those. Which is obviously what the minors represent, but it's the fact they're referred to as trumps, and it's just the 4 element suits. So that's an interesting thing. So I said I'm not going to try and linger on this book too much, just do the basic breakdown. So that's what we've got. We have the descriptions, the picture in black and white, and by the looks of it, each card has its main name and a subheading. So we'll probably see more of that later. Let's see if it has any spreads. It does not appear to have any spreads in here, but that's fine. Yeah, so that looks like an illumination book, and also you've got the gold. You kind of got like the pinkish red glistening hue on the box and the card, and obviously this card is, I would say, the moon card. Right, so one thing I notice obviously with this, you've got a little tab here. Now I said these I'll just take this off. Now these feel a bit unwieldy. For people, so I've got relatively, they're horribly dry once again, very short in time. But these cards are quite large, so it appears that these might not be suitable for people with smaller hands. So I said this is probably about 5.5 inches roughly. So, and probably about three wide. About 3. Just so we can do like a rough measurement. Once again, she'll put tape measure. But yeah, I'd probably say that's about 3.5 to 4 inch, 3.5 by 5.5. The book will probably say it as well, but I'm not going to bore you just by flipping through a book that I'm not going to be reading to you anyway. So anyway, first bit of interest I found. In the book itself, it has the name of the card. It has the name of the card, and then like a short meaning. Whilst on the card itself, it just says the name. So we start with the Fool. So once again, the Fool is always my favourite card. The card I kind of relate to the most. Excuse me. I might as well put it back in the box as I go. And then we've got the Magician. Nice, wisely sage man there. Now, it's not really showing any elements, but you've got the numbers at the top there, and looks like the numbers are consistent. So these ones, so you've got the High Priestess. So at the moment, so by the looks of this, I wouldn't say these are for beginners. They do feel quite cool. So you kind of got to already have a pretty good idea of tarot for these ones. Now the card stock itself feels quite firm, slightly thicker than the Scarabino, which I have a lot of. Also, I'm going to be popping backwards and forwards on subject. That looks cool for the Emperor there, King of the Lions, King of the Jungle, etc. I mean, his head looks a bit off, like it's not quite on his shoulders properly, but there you go. Got the Hierophant here, which looks like a combination of the High Priestess and the Magician. So that intrigues me. But, and I think it's one of those, some of this is artwork with actual photography made to look a bit mystical, which sometimes puts me off, but these seem to be okay with it. So you've got the Lovers, not the Lovers there, and we've got the, on the pillars here, you've got the element of fire, you've got the triangle for fire, and I believe Scorpio. I may have to double check that. I'll put it underneath here, so if I'm correct with that or not. But yeah, that looks like Scorpio. Which is strange, yeah, which is interesting because Scorpio is water, but then obviously if I've got that wrong, it'll be underneath, my correction will be underneath here somewhere. So we have the Chariot next. So as I was saying, so they don't, as these aren't what I like to call rider-like, the rider-weight cards, it feels that they're, yeah, you kind of have to know tarot anyway. So I wouldn't say these wouldn't be your first deck to own, if for nothing else, just because they're nice images. I mean, the Hermit I think is quite nice. It's just with the closed door and the keys, so that's quite an interesting thing. So to get to this person, to get to the knowledge and to the wisdom that the Hermit would have, there are only a few ways you can do it. Not everyone can. But yeah, so these aren't necessarily for new people. So too many errs. My apologies. Well, but then you know what I say, to err is human. And what I find is, yeah, you'd already have to know tarot to kind of get these, but they're not too bad. This one looks quite good. Excuse me. This one looks quite good. It makes me think of Cirque du Soleil, which I should really watch more of, to be honest. Although I've become Facebook friends with a performer from the Circus of Horrors, which is pretty cool. Now, this is everyone's favourite card, the Death card, but this one is called Transformation. Obviously, if anything comes up differently, I'll bring it up. But yeah, so this one's actually Transformation rather than Death, because the Death card means the end of something. So Transformation is kind of more hinted at rather than blatantly told. So then you've got Patience, which would actually be temperance, I believe, which I think is quite strange. So that's just called patience, but fine. Then you've got temptation. So, I mean, overall, you can't argue that the artwork is amazing on this. Then what's called temptation. I think it's quite interesting because this would otherwise be the devil, which represents temptation, addiction, all that good stuff. So you've got the tower there, and that one's quite interesting because the tower itself isn't collapsing, it's just kind of there. Kind of like Lord of the Rings-esque with it kind of being in the mountain. So we've got the star, it's quite nice. One of a few times the number is not at the top, but you know, you've got to make up for it somehow with the star in the corner there. So you've got the moon, which is on the cover of the box and the book. Now, as I said, you can see why this wouldn't necessarily be a great starter pack. We've got the sun here, which is interesting because they're kind of doing the same thing with the stars, the sun and the moon, where you've got a large disc roughly about the same place. Those look quite nice. Okay, and we come to Judgment, which is also in this deck called Core. So that's a nice take on it. That's why these sort of things are always quite interesting, merely because how the artist takes the concept, takes the idea. That one's really cool. Being an amateur astronomer, I'm still getting over the Bell's palsy. Being an amateur astronomer, this card really gels with me. I think that does look really nice. Right, so now we go on. To the minors. So it looks like you start with the court cards here. So you start with the page of air, and so the air would tend to be the swords. The page is the page. Then you have the messenger of air, so that would be the knight. And yeah, that looks quite a nice messenger, considering how in the Rider-Waite the Knight of Swords is very, very aggressive. Excuse me, it's a very aggressive looking card. Then we've got the Queen of Air, and she looks lovely. The owl looks really nice as well. And you can't complain about the colours. The colours look amazing on these. Got the King of Air. Not quite fond of the mask, but the artwork is quite fascinating. Reminds me of the Secret Whispers. Nature's Whispers. That's the one. Oracle card. So we've got the Ace of Air. Which looks quite similar to the unicorn oracle I posted up last week. Check that video out, by the way, they're really good. Excuse me. So you've got the two of air. I'm not moving there. Two of air. So if we're just going, looks like you're just going to do the throughout. So now, this being air and a really nice shade of blue, I am curious to see the shades of blue coming to the water. I'm quite interested in that. Quite there. Now, a lot of these do look quite nice, and some of these don't look like the classic style. So I mean, this one is quite reminiscent of how it looks in the Riders. But the 7 does not, neither does the 8, to be honest. But so these are one of the cards that kind of do their own thing. So another reason why it's not really for beginners, personally. So for example, that one is traditionally a person is bound with swords behind them and blindfolded. While that one looks so nice, these are some of the nicest, most positive sorts of air elements I've seen. So this one is usually represented as a woman in bed, it looks like a woman in bed crying, so it kind of shows issues of mental health or bad sleep or PTSD, that sort of thing. whilst this one's very, very different. Opposite, to be honest. It's just like dreams coming true and the feeling of freedom. So we've got there. So for what essentially are the swords, these are some of the most positive and nicest looking cards for the swords. And as I said before, some of these pictures are are photographs as edited, and but I find I don't tend to like that style, but these ones seem to do it quite well. So now we start with the page of fire. So fire are wands. And obviously, if you've seen some of my videos before, I think I did cover the basics of tarot as well in one of my previous videos. So if you haven't seen that, check that one out as well. It should all be on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're watching this on my actual website, it will be under. It should be like the second video from the bottom, because. You've got a nice cool fairy on this lantern there, so Ace of Fire. As I said, so some of these don't really follow the same traditions as I might as well call them classic tarot, because even the famous Rider-Waite weren't the first official available tarot for people, but it's still, at least in regards to the majors, they were still very close to the original message for the majors. So, when I say a card is Rider-Waite, most tarot that look like the Rider-Waite also do look like some of the cards from before then. They just added, as I said, they've just added pictures to the minors. Another one for you unicorn fans. That's the 7. So some of these are actually probably one of the more positive packs as well. Oh, let's have a look at Panda Lovers, just quickly saying. Look at Panda Lovers. Yeah, so it's very strange because these are some of the nice and most positive, pleasant tarot I've ever seen. But at the same time, unless you just scour through the book and try and learn it that way, these wouldn't be for beginners, but these would be perfect for someone who's never had a tarot reading before. And of course you wind up getting people who've never had them done before and therefore are terrified of bad news. So I've got the page of water. And the blue is, there you go, I didn't notice that. Mermaidy, she's got a little mermaid's tail there. Sorry for the few of you out there I know who are afraid of mermaids. So, got a little messenger there with a little seahorse. Yeah, so this shade of blue is quite nice. Kind of like turquoise look to it. And who doesn't like a nice bit of turquoise? I'm an amethyst person myself. That's only because I'm a Pisces. Oh, and speaking of Pisces, one of my friends, she just put up a video on Black Sicx Tarot, and once again I think I've got that right. If not, it will be corrected down here somewhere. And put up a new video talking about Pisces for December. I definitely recommend you check it out. I'll put it in the description as well. So it looks like you've got a lot of fish-based people here. I would love to see a kind of Magic the Gathering tarot. I'm still waiting. I've seen it a couple of times. I've seen this a couple of times on DeviantArt, but I'm still waiting for that Pokemon tarot. I would buy that in a heartbeat. Okay, so this is one of the few ones that's above ground. That's above ground, that's above water there. It's quite interesting, that one. So some of these you can kind of see the traditional. So for example, that one, there are many options to pick from. All of these are slightly different. Some of them are very different. So I mean, the artwork is is basically phenomenal. No, I'm going to really like the next one. I said sorry for the few of you out there who are afraid of mermaids. I know you're out there. I apologise, but look at that, Buddha. Look at that Buddha. There you go. That makes it all better. Promise. So then we have a page of Earth. Earth being the pentacles. So already very different, nice browns. Messenger. I think all the messengers in here were women. Which I think is quite nice when they kind of do that a bit. The Thoth deck is quite an interesting deck. I might do that in a video soon. But they were kind of made at about the same time as the Rider-Waite. In fact, they were kind of done in the same institution. The Golden Dawn. I can't remember if that's the full title, but they kind of made them around the same time, or at least the same. At least a group of people. A couple of people made these. I can't remember any of the names right now. But anyway, look up the Golden Dawn, and the Thoth deck was made a little while after. It was made up a little while after the Rider-Waite, and the Thoth deck kind of broke some of the traditions. So there's mainly, I think, out of the major suits, out of the court cards, there is one male and the rest are female. I have to double check that, but he looks pretty cool. He looks like something from Lord of the Rings. Yeah, kind of like Orlando Bloomish. So there. So that one's quite similar to how I'd imagine how that's usually. Just look quite. You can see where the message came from. I've got 9 there, and there is no snail. On the riders, you've got a little snail on this card. You've got a little snail on the ground, and one of my friends mentioned it, and now I can't stop noticing the damn thing. I've got 10 there. Okay, so before I take that out, and now as soon as this siren stops, so now we'll do the other test. So despite the size, this is really smooth. Right, do that again actually. Yeah. So I said these are a little uncomfortable to kind of hold, even for me. And I say even for me because my hands are quite big. So as people with smaller hands might struggle with these, but I'm trying to do a cap here. But despite the size, that's a pretty smooth spread. And so now the other important thing, how they are to actually shuffle. So it's so as I hold it like that, that does feel uncomfortable, but these cards just feel as smooth as silk. So I don't think that's going to be an issue here. So if you're able to physically hold them with a level of comfort, because there's going to be a slight bit of discomfort, but if you can hold them with a level of comfort and a level of comfortability, these are very, very smooth. So I'll put it back in the box. I said, also golden rule. If someone says, "Hey, I bought a new," this is a thing I always like to bring up. If someone goes to you, "Hey, I've got this really cool pack of tarot cards. Take a look." Don't shuffle them unless you ask and they say yes. Don't just go off and shuffle them. That's a bugbear of mine, and that's a bugbear of others. So if someone goes, "Hey, check out this pack of tarot," don't just start shuffling and go, "I'll do me a reading." But yeah, so that is the good tarot. Okay, so that was another unboxing. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter at Sicx Tarot, where I'll be doing card of the day and hopefully I'll be doing that more. I do apologise for this, and I might be getting a bit under the weather, a bit of man flu. I've survived the last strain of man flu, so I think I'll be alright this time. But yeah, one of the things I found really tricky with this video is to not keep referring to Fiddler on the Roof, as if to keep referencing as the good tarot says, because that's how my brain works. Yes, so hopefully this video should go out after the excuse me. Hopefully this video should go out after the Anne Stokes review, which you haven't seen, check it out. I review the Anne Stokes Gothic Tarot, and now Anne Stokes is an artist of whom you've probably seen her work as posters, as statues. She does she does artwork of dragons, fairies, Grim Reapers, the lot. And she has her own pack of tarot based off her existing artwork. So that should be on the channel as well. I'll probably put a link in the description for that as well. And once again, sorry for the different room. Sorry for the different room. It's all down to, it's subject to availability really. So after this, there should be another video. There'll be a Christmas. I say Christmas. Should be like a Christmas themed video, and then I should have a new up in the new year in early January. Hopefully, maybe out the New Year's Eve, probably New Year's Day, the day after New Year's Day, which is the 2nd. But hopefully, I'll try to get at least two more main videos out, as well as the fortune telling, as well as the forecast rather. And as I said, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If there are any tarot you would like to see me cover, or if you just want to say hi really, leave a comment below. You can also, in the description there'll be a link to the main website as well, so you can send up a proper email if you wish to as well. So, hope you like the video, and you have a good evening.